As I dragged my suitcase up the familiar wooden path, I suddenly had a strange premonition in my heart. The sea breeze slapped on my face with salt, there was hot moisture in the air, and even my breath was heavy and oppressive. My mother was right, returning to this seaside house was like returning to another life. But she didn't tell me ahead of time that someone would be standing at the door. It was Ethan, my stepfather's son, my nominal stepbrother. I haven't seen him for 6 years, and he seems to have changed. The silent teenager in my memory has now grown into a calm man. He is wearing a simple white shirt, with sleeves rolled casually to his elbows, and a button open at his chest to reveal a strong line. The sun shines down from behind, cutting out his cold side face. "You've grown up." He stared at me, his voice muffled, but with a hint of a hard-to-capture smile. My heart skipped a beat. I pursed my lips, trying to appear more natural, but somehow my voice trembled. "Yeah, you too." It was then that I realized that this summer would not be peaceful. My mother was busy greeting me in the kitchen, rescuing me from that eerie silence. The atmosphere at the table seemed warm, but it was like it was separated by invisible glass. My stepfather raised a glass to celebrate family reunion. My mother smiled, while my eyes fell uncontrollably on Ethan. He always raised his eyes slowly, bumped into me, and then moved away as if nothing had happened. But for that brief moment, I could feel a dangerous undercurrent flowing. At night, I lay on the bed in my old room, listening to the sound of the waves crashing against the shore. The moonlight outside the window was very bright, but I couldn't sleep. As soon as I closed my eyes, Ethan's eyes would appear, with a vague sharpness. There was a nominal wall of blood between us, but my heart seemed to be pulled by some forbidden force. The next morning at breakfast, my mother was temporarily called away by friends, and my stepfather also went to the dock to deal with affairs. Only Ethan and I were left in the living room. I deliberately avoided his gaze and pretended to focus on cutting bread, but the sound of the blade rubbing against the plate made me feel harsh. "Remember when you were a child, you were most afraid of using knives?" Ethan suddenly spoke, his voice low and smiling. I was stunned, and when I looked up, I happened to bump into his dark eyes. There was some kind of dangerous light hidden in it. "You remember?" I tried to calm my tone. "Of course." He put down his coffee cup, his tone unclear. "I remember a lot of things about you." At that moment, my heart felt like it was being pinched. The air seemed to be frozen, and I wanted to look away, but found that I couldn't. He stood up slowly, walked to my side, and reached for the bread knife. I subconsciously stepped back, but was blocked by the back of the chair. His arms passed me, his shoulders almost grazing my face. A faint cologne mixed with the smell of coffee crept into my nose, making my head heat up. "Don't worry, I won't hurt you," he whispered in a low voice, as if whispering in his ear. "But you'd better not look at me like that." I froze. "What look?" "I don't know." But as he stared at me, the shame of being seen through made me almost want to run away. But my legs couldn't move like lead. That afternoon, my mother and stepfather were busy preparing barbecues in the yard. I took the initiative to fetch drinks, only to bump into Ethan again in front of the refrigerator. In the small space, we had almost no way out. "You are avoiding me," he suddenly spoke, his tone determined. I was stunned. "No, yes." He leaned closer, his eyes sharp. "You don't even dare to look at me." I turned my head in a panic, only to be pressed on my chin by his sudden outstretched hand, forcing me to make eye contact with him. "If you look at me like that again, I might not be able to control myself," he whispered. I froze in place, my mind blank. My mother's laughter came from outside, reminding me that this was home, a safe place. But my heart was beating so fast that it was bursting through my chest. Ethan let go of me, turned around and picked up the drink as if nothing had happened. And I leaned against the refrigerator door, palms in cold sweat. I finally realized that the danger was not an illusion. It was real, and it was gradually swallowing me up. After dinner, the yard was only warm from the charcoal. My mother drank some wine and went back to her room early to rest. My stepfather yawned sleepily. The yard was quiet, only the waves and the wind. I walked to the beach and sat on the old wooden stake, holding a glass of juice in my hand. The night wind blew a little cold, but my heart was still hot. There were footsteps behind me. Even if I didn't look back, I knew who it was. "You are indeed here." Ethan's voice was low and a little hoarse. I pursed my lips and dared not look at him. "Why haven't you slept yet?" "Can't sleep." He sat down next to me, not far away. The sea breeze blew the corners of his shirt, and the moonlight shone on his cold face. We were all silent. Only waves lashed against the shore, like silent urging. "Why are you always avoiding me?" He suddenly spoke. My heart tightened. I didn't. Who are you kidding? His tone was mocking, but not sharp. Instead, it seemed that I had already seen through my defenses. I subconsciously clenched the cup, trying to make my voice sound calm. Because, I don't think it should be. He turned his head and stared straight at me. Shouldn't it? My lips moved, but I couldn't say the second half. I stood up abruptly, trying to escape the stifling atmosphere. But his hand reached over and clasped my wrist. Run what? He stood up, a step closer. He was tall and oppressive in the moonlight, with flames in his eyes I had never seen before. My heart was beating so fast that it was almost out of control. The place where his wrist was held was hot, like it was burning. Ethan. My voice trembled. He lowered his head, and his voice exploded in my ears. One more cry. In that instant, the blood all over my body coagulated. It was as if I obeyed, I would fall into the abyss of no return. But I still spoke. Ethan. His hand slowly moved from my wrist until it interlocked with my fingers. I wanted to pull away, but I found that I had no strength. You were clearly thinking of me. He was so direct that it was suffocating. I didn't. I retorted subconsciously, but my voice was as weak as a mosquito's chirping. Who are you kidding? He leaned over, the tip of his nose almost touching my forehead. The intertwined breaths made me tremble. You couldn't hide from the first day you came back. I bit my lip, not daring to look at him, but tears rolled in my eyes, not because of grievance, but because of shame and fear. I knew he was right. Ever since I saw him, I had lost control. The shadow that had been suppressed for many years in my heart was awakened in an instant. Ethan, we can't do this, I almost begged, but he laughed softly. Who ordered it? The next moment, his fingers brushed my cheek, with a hot temperature. It was a touch I couldn't ignore. My body was stiff, but it didn't back away. The air froze. My fingers were shaking. My mind was frantically shouting leave. But my heart was rushing forward. I did nothing. Ethan's eyes were deeper, as if confirming my acquiescence. His lips fell on my forehead, light as a feather, but more dangerous than any impulse. I held my breath. My whole body almost melted. But at that moment, my mother's cough suddenly came from the room. I woke up suddenly, pushed him away, turned and stumbled back to the room. The moment the door closed, my back was against the wooden door. My heart was beating fast like it was going to explode. Tears fell, and I realized that I had no strength to resist. That night, I tossed and turned until dawn. I understand some things, once touched, can never go back to the past. The next evening, my mother suddenly received a phone call. Her old friend was sick and hospitalized, and she needed to rush to take care of him overnight. It may take 2 or 3 days. You take care of yourself at home. My mother's tone was worried. I can go with you, I said eagerly. My mother shook her head. No, you stay with Ethan. He is not familiar with this place. My heart sank violently. My mother's inadvertent arrangement was like a judgment, pushing me into the abyss. The moment I sent my mother to the car, I almost wanted to rush up and follow her. But the car soon disappeared into the night, leaving only the yard silent. I turned back to the house, and the lights in the living room were warm yellow, but with a depressing atmosphere. Ethan sat on the sofa, flipping through a book as if everything was in order. Hearing my footsteps, he raised his head, the corners of his lips slowly curled up. Now, it's just us. I'm chilling all over. I'm going to my room. Don't disturb me. I pretended to be calm and wanted to go straight upstairs. But just as I reached the staircase, his voice came lightly. Do you think you can close the door and escape? I stopped, my back stiff. The more you resist, the more I want to prove it. His tone was dangerously sure. You can't ignore what's between us.